Whether you want enemies to lovers or friends to lovers, a winter cabin or Christmas in the big city, this book has it all. Merry Christmas. Hello my friends, my name is AJ and welcome back to my book nook. It is December and you know what that means. It is the Christmas season. I am very excited and I have a few big videos planned I'm very excited for, including the biggest review I have ever done the week of Christmas, so stay tuned for that. But today we are going to be doing a simple review video on the book One Way or Another by Kara McDowell. Now I am definitely a hopeless romantic, but I also am not really a big fan of a lot of romance movies and novels. I know, weird. But despite that, I am a huge fan of Hallmark movies. I love the kind of corny, cheesy Christmas romances, and they are kind of the only romance movies that I really watch a lot of. So I thought, let's give a Christmas romance a try and see how I like it. So One Way or Another follows the story of Paige Collins, a teenage girl from Arizona who has big dreams of traveling the world and seeing snow for the first time. She also has a long-term crush on her friend Fitz, which means that when he gives her the chance to come and spend Christmas at his family's cottage with them, she should be very excited about that. However, her mom has also provided her with an opportunity by winning tickets to go to New York for Christmas, someplace that Paige has always wanted to go. Paige has a big fear of making the wrong decision, so when she's presented with this massive choice between Christmas with her crush or fulfilling her dream of going to New York, it can get a little bit stressful. She ends up hitting her head and her life gets split down two completely different paths. One where she goes to his cabin and one where she goes to New York. And she has to figure out how to deal with herself and her severe anxiety before she can find her happily ever after. First and foremost, I think that the concept of this book is so cool. It was honestly what really drew me to it in the first place. The idea that she is terrified of making the wrong decision and then her life gets split down these two separate paths and we get to see both unfolding at the same time. I love that. I think it's such a cool idea. I think it's such a unique concept and it's worked out really well. So if she gets a text from someone about something happening while she's in New York, when we're following the storyline where she goes to the cabin, she's there for it happening. So there are some things that are fixed points in the story that are going to happen no matter what, which I think was a really nice touch of bringing in this idea of a multiverse of different lives. Paige herself has severe anxiety and I think that that was handled really well in the book. It's definitely not made light of at all. It's taken very seriously. There are a lot of techniques for coming down from panic attacks that she has that are actually pretty common and well known, such as, you know, what are 5 things that you can see, 4 things that you can hear, 3 things you can touch, that sort of thing. If you're familiar with any sort of coping mechanisms, then you may be familiar with those ones. I could tell that the author really did care about making sure that this was portrayed accurately and making sure that it was portrayed in a sensitive manner. So I was really happy that they did that. And I found Paige to be an easy character to relate to. I definitely don't have severe anxiety like she does, but I do tend to overthink things a lot and I do tend to be afraid of, if I make this choice for my future, what if I'm closing all these doors for other things that could possibly lead to something better? I understand that kind of fear of making those decisions. So I found that Paige was an easy character to kind of relate to and follow. It's also really nice to see that Paige getting into a relationship or falling in love with someone doesn't get rid of her anxiety. That's something that she has to work on herself. That's something that she has to make the choice to do. And I think that that was a very nice touch. We also get to see another one of Paige's friends, a girl named Clover, and I thought that the contrast between Clover and Paige was really beneficial to the story. Clover is very much in love with her boyfriend and she's ready to dive into a very serious relationship with him. And while Paige is very concerned about the future, Paige is very careful, Clover is someone who tends to make decisions at a split second and she is much more outgoing. And I think it's very nice to see these characters kind of foil with each other. I think their personalities are very different, but they work well together as as characters. And the thing is that Paige is not necessarily a perfect person. She makes mistakes. She does some things that are not necessarily a good thing to do, but she learns to kind of work with those mistakes and try to own up to them. Paige is also well done in the sense that she's very easy to see from her perspective. I mentioned that she's easy to relate to, but there are often times when Paige would misunderstand something, where she'd think that someone was doing something that, I'm not going to spoil anything, so I'm trying to be very vague about what I'm saying, but she would think that someone was thinking of her a certain way or was doing a certain thing, with her kind of being the second choice. And then it's kind of revealed that no, like she's just kind of misunderstanding the situation, misinterpreting it. And that was really well done the way that that was written, because I believed the same thing as Paige. I was like, that's kind of rude of them to do. And then realized afterwards, oh, wow, they really got me into this book and they really got me into Paige's mindset. Talking about the end, obviously I'm going to try and stay away from any spoilers, but as vaguely as I can, it is a little bit ambiguous. So obviously you have the two paths that her life is split down, and you get to see both. But the thing is that you don't really know which one is the one that was taken. And I kind of like that. I kind of like that you don't really know. I kind of like that you get to come to your own conclusions about that. We'll get more into it in the spoiler section if you have read the book. So if you have read the book or you just don't care about spoilers, stick around for that if you want to hear more of my opinions on the ending. But for now, that's all you're gonna get. One thing that did bother me about this book was that it was just a little bit, how do I say this? I want to say like fanficky. Not that there's anything wrong with fan fiction. There are some fan fictions out there that are so incredibly well written. It's a miracle that they haven't been published yet. But I think in the way that it was written, it was kind of cheesy. I do think Paige's character was well written, but there were some moments where she came across as like the stereotypical fan fiction self-insert character, in the sense that she would do some things, but she would always think that she was the victim. She's always right is the way that it's kind of presented. Even if she does make mistakes and she realizes she makes mistakes, she still thinks that she was right to do them. It could just be a little bit annoying at points. I think it's just missing something, just a little bit of fine tuning. And I also found that it was kind of infuriating to watch the characters just go in circles of, oh, they like me, and then suddenly they decide, oh, they don't like me because I saw someone from their past. And it's like, stop going in circles. And I understand that Paige's character does overthink things, but reading it can be very frustrating, and occasionally there are books out there that are infuriating in a good way. This one was not. This one was infuriating in a, oh my gosh, just literally have a conversation. Alright, that is it for my non-spoiler opinions of the book. If you have read the book already, or you just don't care about spoilers, then you can stick around and hear some of my spoiler-filled opinions. However, if you do not want to hear any spoilers for the book, then I suggest you skip ahead to my final thoughts. I will leave some timestamps for you down below. If you're still here, then that means that you are okay with spoilers for the book, so let's dive right in. The ending with her mom's romance with Harrison's father is weird. It's weird. To me, it felt like they were trying to force the romance with Harrison out the window. And I feel like I liked Harrison more than Fitz. I know that that sounds weird. Maybe it's just the enemies to lovers love I have, but who knows? I just felt like it would have been more interesting to leave the ending ambiguous of who she ends up with. Obviously, she ends up with Fitz in both life. And I think that the message that that kind of sends is it doesn't matter what choices you make because you're going to have this one future anyways. And that's a fine message, but I don't think that it was the best for what the story seemed to be setting up. I think it would have been interesting to take a different take on that, where in one story she ends up with Fitz, in the other she ends up with Harrison, and the ending is ambiguous and we don't know who she actually ends up with. Maybe the ending is her waking up and realizing this is a choice that I want, and realizing that even if you make different choices, they may lead to different outcomes, but they'll still be good no matter what they are. And I think that that would have made more sense for the way the story was going. The romance between her mother and Harrison's dad seemed just a bit weird. Obviously it didn't come out of nowhere. Obviously there was some lead up. I could tell that it was probably going down that direction as we continued in the story, but it just felt like they needed a reason for her and Harrison to not work out, because that was the only reason that she and Harrison did not work out. They were fine, they were talking, like she had gotten over the fact that they had seen her his ex, like they had moved on from that, and then they walk in and then, oh, okay, well, guess we can't, because maybe we're gonna be step-siblings soon. It just feels a bit weird, and it feels like it was forcing the story in a specific direction when I think it could have easily gone with a you don't know who she ends up with. And I think that that could have been more beneficial to it. Welcome back, my non-spoiler people. So what are my final thoughts? Overall, I think that this is a really good book. I think that the representation of Paige and her anxiety is pretty well done, but I do think that it does have some flaws to it. The story definitely just has something missing for me. It never really quite sparked. And it felt like the ending was very much forced in a specific direction when it could have more easily been put into a more broad decision. Overall, I will give it a 3.5 out of 5 Christmases, and I will say that if you want to give this book a try, then I think you definitely should. But that is it for me today. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, feel free to give it a thumbs up, and if you want to see more content like this, then go ahead and hit that subscribe button and stick around. But let me know in the comments below, have you read this book and did you enjoy it, or do you have similar thoughts to me, or did this video make you want to read this book? Let me know in the comments. I would love to have a conversation with all of you. But that is it for me today. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see all of you lovely people in the next video.